Good day. How are you? Amazing, amazing. What am I talking about? Woo, child, I'm talking about milestones. Milestones are things that happen in our life, or time frames or events or occasions that happen that are eventful, impacting, create memories that we use to attribute a goal or something that we just achieved in our life until the next journey. And usually when we think of milestones, we think of our children, right? So you find out you're pregnant, then you pass your trimesters, maybe you have a gender reveal, a baby shower, you give birth, baby's 3 months, a year, 5 years, 10, and so on. Those are milestones. Your baby hit the first milestone. Maybe you subscribe to a baby web journal or a book and you're reading through their milestones. Or maybe you have a puppy and the puppy passed his 6 months now. He's 11 months. Whatever your milestone may be, they are important. And that's what I want to talk about today. So you hold that thought and we'll be right back to discuss milestones on this journey of Fannytastic Life. Be right back. Busy Sunday in the Fannytastic Life house, and I'm walking around my home. I have my doggies causing trouble, my baby over here eating. Chaos. But today is decoration day, so all my children, whether they like it or not, will come down the stairs and we'll start decorating like we don't know what else to do. Well, that's a milestone. Every year I have these milestones. It usually starts off in January. The first milestone is I wait for a holiday called King's Day that my father used to celebrate. And then I go out and get grass and put it under the bed and light a candle. Then I have to take all the decorations down. It's another milestone. What about education? What about financial goals? Life goals? We have all these milestones. Let's talk about it. By the way, welcome back. So, for me, it's really important that all of my children, enjoy certain moments in their life that when they reach a certain age, they can look back and say, I remember the time when my mother used to. It's very important. You know, I mentioned this many times that my mom, she passed away when I was a young person. And you know what? I don't think I'll ever stop mentioning it. You know, there's something in that I'm still learning from. And I notice when I speak about it, it brings me peace. But my mom would do things that I remember. And I could paint a picture of it. I remember it so clearly. And so every time throughout the years, I always do these things because my mother did it, and my grandmother, and my father, and my grandfather. So, for example, my mother every year, she never had a menorah. She just didn't have one. And she always used to have these 8 candles in the kitchen. And they weren't expensive candles. And matter of fact, I think that she bought them in a Santa store on like Avenue C, if you know where I'm from, Louisiana. And I think they were like Catholic white candles, but she had 8 of them. And it was right in the kitchen by the window. And we had a roof in our kitchen. Like, so when you went into our kitchen, there was a window and there was a roof attached. And we would play on that roof like it was a playground because it was a big flat roof surrounded by buildings. And that was kind of our playground as a little girl. So my mother would always say, be careful, the candles. And honestly, that was her menorah. And she did the best she could. So every year, I'm always like, I need to light my candles. I got to do this. Let's say the prayer. And the other thing is, I am not so equipped with the knowledge that a lot of people have regarding so many different details of the holidays. So I'll give you an example. I reached out to my coworker at the time who taught me a lot of Hanukkah things I didn't know about. So I incorporate that with my children. Definitely I do. But here's the funny thing, and I need to talk about this. If I don't talk about this little elf is going to kill me. So let me tell you about this milestone. So we moved to this new town, and I love it here. If my neighbors don't know how much I love them, they know. Because I love them. And I say hi to everyone. Everyone says hi. It's like out of a storybook. It really is. So anywho, my oldest son was in school and he comes home and he doesn't necessarily come home mad, but he was upset. And I was like, what's wrong? Well, where's our elf, Mom? Where's our elf? We don't have an elf. I'm like, elf? Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And he told me about this whole thing about his elf on a shelf. I don't know where I've been, but I never heard of that before in my life. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no clue. Mind you, I grew up in a house that my mother was Jewish, my father was Catholic. She would take me to temple on Saturday and to church on Sunday. So for 9 out of 10, I know my religion. By the way, heads up, if anybody didn't realize, the Bible, the First Testaments, is pretty much the same thing as most Bibles everywhere you go. So, just saying. Anywho, not to mention that, I'll mention that. Well, I'll just say it, that when I got married, had my baby, got my baby baptized, I had to go to school at the Catholic Church and learn the sacraments. And I had to take catechism in the school, which was crazy because I was an adult and I learned so much about religion. It really blew my mind that sometimes I will just say a quote from the Bible to say, told you so. Anywho, back to my story about the elf. Sorry, you know me in tangents. I just love them. So I'm like, what are you talking about? So I go to family's house and I notice they have an elf on the shelf. They post a picture about an elf on a shelf. This whole time, I never paid attention to it. And sometimes, I'll raise my hand on this. A lot of my friends will post something and I'll be like, oh, I love it. But I won't hit like. I don't know why. I didn't think about it. I just, and then I don't follow anyone. I made this thing, I don't follow anyone. But it wasn't like I didn't follow anyone to hurt anyone. I just wanted to communicate with loved ones through touch, phone calls, because I'm old-fashioned. But now I follow, now I like, and now if I see something that I know means something, I will like it and put a comment because I know it means on the social media universe. It means something on a different level. And I had to learn this in the last 3 years. So I'm kind of late to that game, as you all know, because I'm just learning. But I noticed, then I started trolling my friends, looking through all this. I'm like, oh my God, everybody has these elves. And these elves are sneaky. They do things. Oh my God. And I'm scarred for life. Child's Play movie, Chucky. I don't want no little elf in my house running around doing crazy things. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to give in. Because here's the truth. You always gotta assimilate. You can stay who you are and be true to your culture. But when you go to anywhere, any town, any village, anywhere you do in life, you gotta fit in. You have to. You can be stern about your culture and be rigid, but you gotta give a little bit to create a mesh, a gray space, so you can have a cultivation with your town, neighborhood, family. Even if you get married, let's say you're married and you marry someone who their family, you may have the same culture and religion, but they're completely different. You have to build a bridge. You have to figure it out. You know why? Because if you don't, you only cause yourself detriment. That's the truth. Because everybody will go around being fine except for you. You'll feel lost. You'll feel confused. You'll feel not a part, not accepted, had you just assimilated. And that doesn't mean change your life. That means allow things to happen. So there's a whole story I learned about something when I was in college. And a lot of immigrants, when they came to the United States in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, started assimilating. So in their house, for example, I went through this whole thing in college. I learned about Italian culture, the Jewish culture, the Irish culture that migrated through Ellis Island. They kept their culture, but would buy butter, margarine, would, buy all the American products so they can be in the supermarket purchasing it and being part of the culture. That's why you'll find a lot of old school grandmothers who make sauces or who store their goods in these Folger cans or coffee cans, not because they don't have access to buying Tupperware, but because that was part of their assimilation when they grew up. Anywho, so how did I do that here? What is this milestone, right? So I said, okay, I got to get an elf on the shelf. I got to do it. I got to do this. So what did I do? Well, there's some ground rules. Let's just go over the ground rules. So first of all, in Santa Claus, the movie with Tim Allen, the head of the elves, Bernardo, he was Jewish. He was low-key Jewish. He was. I'm low-key. I'm Jewish and Catholic, but he was low-key Jewish. He was a Jewish elf in that workshop. You can tell. That's my boy. I love that actor. I can't remember his name right now, but you know what I'm talking about. So I said, that elf on the shelf, that's going to be the elf's name. But my elf has to be brown and a female. It has to be. Because who am I kidding? First of all, I am a Latin Jewish queen. If you didn't know that, if you thought for 1 second this whole time you knew me and you thought you knew who I am, let me just clarify for you. I did my ancestry DNA and I learned a lot about myself. But a lot of it also confirmed what I already knew. So I will just happen to say right here, right now, that according to my ancestry DNA, I am not only indigenous, I am not only Jewish. Baby, I'm an Amazon queen. With that said, my elf needs to reflect that. Yes, I have all boys. Even more so, my elf has to be a woman. I mean, I'm outnumbered in this house. So I found her and I named her Bernanda Chico the elf. I love this little elf. I put her all over the house. And let me tell you, they need to be, wily, like doing crazy things. I have her doing crazy things in the house. And, the truth is you don't tell the children. If they're listening to this, they know. But she moves around and does crazy things during the holiday time. Bernanda, what are you doing? That's what I always say. Bernanda, what are you up to now? Bernanda, where are you? Adonde, Bernanda, adonde? Because, yes, I will create this point in life for my children. Sorry, I'm knocking things down. I will create this for my children. I will allow them to look back and say, oh, I remember we had an elf on a shelf. But I will also have it be known, oh yes, our elf's name was Bernanda Chico the elf. Hello. So that's kind of funny because you may think, well, this is not no, it is a milestone. It is. Because I achieved something in myself that allowed me to change what I normally do. I normally would never do this. The other thing is my son, when he was in the 4th grade, got in trouble because they were in class and they were like, do you hear it? Do you hear the bells? And then all the children, we hear the bells. We hear the bells. We hear the bells. My son was like, what bell? I don't hear no bell. I don't hear no ring-a-dang-dang, no bell. My son came home that he got in trouble because he was being disrespectful because he would not participate and say he heard bells. I was like, what bells? So he tells me about it. I'm like, I don't know what movie you're talking about. It was the Christmas train that you hear the bells. And if you hear the bells, you believe in Christmas. Lord have mercy. This house, we celebrate Hanukkah, then Christmas. Hello. It's 8 days of me, Hanukkah in your face, and then Christmas, or sometimes a mix. And there's never been a bell. I never, ever, never, ever, ever, never heard a bell ring in this house for Christmas. And I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, I failed him. Again, another milestone that he didn't know because they're going to talk about it again next year and he's not going to know. I need to incorporate some bells. So I went out for holiday shopping and I found bells. Now I'm going to tell you, every year when I decorate, I always decorate my holiday, and notice I say holiday, in either royal blue, pink, and maybe some red and green. Maybe some red and green. Because when I grew up, my grandparents obviously did not celebrate Christmas. And my dad celebrated King's Day. So I remember there were some rare moments that they would buy a Christmas tree to fit in. And let me also remind you, all my people from my old neighborhood, Lower East Side, when you came to my house, you will see the Puerto Rican flag everywhere. The Puerto Rican flag in the Christmas tree, next to the pasteles, coquito. Did I ever tell you I was Puerto Rican? I'm not. But my mother and father, my mother who was from Brooklyn, is a descendant of Russian and Poland, and actually I should just clarify. Her family is from Poland when Russia was in control of Poland. So therefore she was Russian Polish. And she spoke Spanish. And my father, who was Bolivian from South America, from the Andes, the Aymatas, who spoke Spanish and Quechua and German, they both spoke English, moved into this neighborhood, and everybody knew that they weren't Puerto Rican, but they were Puerto Rican. Hello. Everything we cook, everything I say, sometimes there's certain things that I'll say, like, for example, and you guys are going to be blown right now. I went to a party and I was like, do you guys have capias? Everybody in the party looked at me like, what are you talking about? My in-laws don't call the little ribbon we pin on ourselves capias. They call those souvenirs, or another word for it. But I thought that everybody knew that word. There are certain things I say when I talk to people and they're like, what are you talking about? But that's from where I'm from. So my parents had this assimilation that they took in our food and our prep, the way we did things every year for June, July. I was like, Puerto Rico, body, because why not? Hold on a second. Que bonita bandera. How to say it? We just were. My husband is Ecuadorian, but he also makes a coquito every year. It's the time. And it's funny because 9 out of 10 people are like, oh, I thought you were Italian. Hey now. I always say I'm a mix. I'm everything and anything. I'm an earthling. But these are part of the milestones. So I incorporated bells. Bernanda, she's incorporated. I will still have my children. You go ahead and you come up to me. You ask me something in Hebrew. I don't know. Shalom. Shalom in my home. Shalom in the casa. Hello. That means peace in my house. But the truth be told, my Hebrew is not where it should be. My Spanish is not where it should be. I'll even throw this back to you in case you didn't realize it. I self-taught myself Cantonese. So, hello. Does it mean anything to you? No, but it means something to me. All these things that I try to learn, a part of my life, are my own milestones. And I incorporate it on my children. I do. I put it on them. Because they need to know. They can't walk around here not knowing things. Sometimes I do it to their detriment. One time, quick segue, we were in this little ferry going to Governor's Island in New York City. If you have never been there, go. What are you waiting for? 9 out of 10 New Yorkers who are from New York City don't look at the landmarks. My loves, check it out. Anywho, we're sitting on the ferry and this lady and her 2 children are right next to us. And an object flies overhead. And her children say, Mommy, what is that? I was like, oh wow. That's a nice accent. Let me eavesdrop. So I'm ear hustling. And she's like, darling, that's a helicopter. That right there is a helicopter. Don't you know to this day, I say helicopter. Why? Because my kids were there with me. And they were like, Mommy, that's not a plane. I'm like, no, it's a helicopter. I couldn't say it's a helicopter in front of her because then I'm going to have her look like a liar in front of her children. So to this day, when me and my kids talk about it, I always say, oh, yeah, look, over there. You see that over there? Oh, it's a helicopter. To this day, I stay in character. I mean, that was when my oldest son was 3. 9 years, I have never failed in character. Test me. And I do this because he looks back and he'll be like, remember that time you didn't correct the lady? Why lose the story? Why lose the story for anything that makes rational sense? That wouldn't be a fantastic life. So this year, our milestone happens around this time. It used to happen right after Halloween, but then I have a little son whose birthday is right before Thanksgiving, right after Halloween. So I can't necessarily decorate the whole house all holiday when it's his special day, right? So now I wait and I do the weekend before Thanksgiving. That's our new tradition. It's been there for 5 years. We're going to keep it going. And what we do is we pretty much do everything for the holiday. So whatever you can think of, tinsel, this, that, sparkles, anything that shines. Blang, blang. Here's something funny. One time I was at work and I decorated my cubicle in holiday delight. Pink lights, though, pink lights. And somebody came up to me, not knowing anything about who I am, what I am, animal, vegetable, mineral, had no idea, never took a taste, came over and brought all their negative energy with them and was like, oh, you decorated for holiday? I wish I could decorate for holiday. And I was like, you certainly can. Yeah, I'll take you to the 99 cent store where I bought all this amazing stuff. And I'll help you decorate your cubicle. I can't because I can decorate because I'm Jewish. And I was like, well, I'm Jewish too. And he was like, no, you're not. I remember he said that so loud, so pungent. My beautiful neighbor at my cubicle was like, whoa. Nobody talks to Fannytasticlife that way. I know I'm slightly exaggerating. And the funny thing was, he was shocked to find out I was Jewish just like him. But I'm not a pessimist. I'm an optimist, not like him. And all the Jewish people I've ever met in my life are not like him. So I don't know where he's getting his attitude from. It is not from anybody that I know, because everybody that runs around me, we're all positive. In an annoying way. Even my friends. I have a friend that she's always from head to toe dark goth. Even now. It's raining. The storm clouds are out. The sun didn't shine. It's a great day. I'm like, ooh, child. Yes. But I still get all up in her like a little snuggly bunny. Because I'm all about positive energy. Even when I'm my most tart, my most sharpshooter and direct, throwing Tic Tacs in people's mouths like they're grenades, I am still a positive ball of shine. So I was like, what is your problem, bro? We don't need the hostility up in here. Go back to your cubicle, Grinch. Anywho, things we learned. So, the other thing that I want to talk about for milestones is why it's so important to us. So my son's birthday passed. He turned 5. I was like, yay! But what about 6, 7, 8, 9? I mean, those are going to be fun. But 10, yay! 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 quinceañera, 16, sweet 16, hello. You know, those will matter. But those big numbers, those shining bright parts that we always pay attention to, why do we pay attention to them? Because it means something. I'm going to tell you what it means. It means a couple things. The first thing it means is when my children were born, it is their birthday. But guess what? I was there. It was a moment in my life that I got to experience with them and enjoy that moment. Every time, let me tell you something. Every time it's your birthday, it's your mother's special day. Every time it's your birthday and your mother calls you and says, happy birthday, you need to say thank you for this life and I love you, Mom. Because what you don't realize is secretly, she will never say it, on the down low, like when they'll say, what do you want to eat for your birthday? She's like, well, I want to have, Mommy, it's not your day, it's mine. But it is. The time that she spent for you to come into this world, the nesting, the preparation, the things she had to do was all for you, but it was a big part of her life. It's very important that you understand that the father, yes, it's possible. Maybe he was very supportive, or maybe it was all on his. So go ahead, give your father a shout out too. But those milestones mean something to your parents. Every time you have a great milestone in your life, it is your parent who is secretly feeling that they accomplished something. Hold that thought. You've been so patient. I'll be right back. welcome back, welcome back. So, it's kind of interesting. Like, remember when you graduated, if you did, remember when you graduated and your parents, obviously, it was your momentous occasion that you finally achieved after going to school and blah, 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 blah. But they wanted to make sure you give me a ticket. Don't forget your uncle, your titi, your this one, your that one, Bobo, Juju, Junior, whoever it is, right? It's very important. Well, I'm going to throw you a big party. I'm going to do this for you. And you're like, nah, I'm going to be long kind. I graduated, it's all me. I get it. But remember, they did everything they did in their life so that you could graduate. The sacrifices they made so you can graduate. Right? Remember when you got married? What a big milestone. You and your girls are like, bridesmaids, right? Your mother the bride. But you didn't invite her to none of them functions, or maybe you did, I don't know. But remember, she was like, listen, you need to invite all these people. And you're like, Mom, I don't know them. Oh my God. Because when you got married, that's again her looking at you that you achieved another milestone. And then remember the day you found out you were pregnant or that your wife was expecting, and all of a sudden in that moment, on that grain of that time, in that piece of sand from the hourglass, you realize in that moment you are what your mother was. And every milestone after today is going to be a milestone that you will share with your child, who will never look back and say, that's also your milestone, until the moment that they have that reflection, in that moment of that revelation, that it is your parents' milestone too. Say word. That's what that's about. This is why milestones mean so much, because when you achieve, it's like Avon. You sell Avon, then you sell her Avon. The first person makes them and they're like, oh, look at my business. It's the same idea. It's a pyramid. Your mother's milestones shine through you. They do. If you're one of those people that you can say, this is my mother, my grandmother, my great-great-grandmother. No. That they, in that line, in that lineage, they are so proud of everything you do, because everything you do reflects back on how successful they were in their own life, living through you vicariously, that you were able to achieve that goal that they had planned many moons ago for you. Those are your milestones. And sons, the same thing. I know I'm mentioning women because I'm a woman, so I speak about women. But yes, the same. I always tell my sons, and you may have heard me say this before, and if I repeat it, it's worth the repeat. I always say, I want you to be a doctor. I want you to be a sports medicine doctor. The Chico Sports Medicine Clinic. I will be your receptionist. I will work in the front. I will handle all your scheduling and booking. And my sons will always say, Mom, you're crazy. I'm not gonna do it. And I'm like, do it. Be a doctor. I always say it. But my kids didn't understand what I meant. This year, I have an anticipated graduation for my master's. Very proud about that. But don't you know, because I didn't tell you, I always am very, very superstitious about saying things that haven't occurred yet. No fortune teller. But I have taken the steps to apply for my doctorate, my PhD, which probably will begin this summer. So I will have a doctorate in business administration. That's my journey. Why? Because I can be the master, as I mentioned, the jack of all trade and master of none. I am the jack of all trade and the boss of the one and only. I can have my master's, but why not have my doctorate? Why not? What's stopping me? Oh, you didn't know I climb every mountain? Oh, child. There goes one of my milestones now. You hear him in the background? So I tell my sons, you don't have to be sports medicine. Whatever you decide to do, because I already told them, I don't care if you don't have 2 nickels to rub together. You need to have a master's of education, master's of something. And then the little cherry on top, you need to have the doctorate. So you are the authority on whatever it is you think that you're going to be doing. I tell you, my 5-year-old was like, I can't even spell my name. I was like, we start from here. It's okay. Because let me tell you something. You will never hear me say, I hope that I will be able to. You'll never hear me say that. When I do this, I will do that. Once I finish this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be successful when I do this. That's how I speak. Because I put it out there in the universe. I want it back. I'm never going to walk on eggshells. I'm never going to tiptoe around glass. Honeybee, I'm going to ice skate in figure 8s around my goal. And make them mine. And my children, 5, 10, and 12, will do the exact same thing. Whether or not they know it now. In our household, these are things that we speak about that are their responsibilities. Some people say to me, who cares? Who cares? No, you don't care. You don't, I care. Let me tell you something. You don't care. That's okay. I care. My grandfather was a doctorate. My grandmother was very close. She had her master's, but she supported my grandfather. And they cared. They did. One person said, well, you could be successful. Look at Facebook. He didn't have his degree. That's 1 in a million. Let me tell you something. Like I mentioned before, whenever something negative happens to me, I always buy a lotto ticket. Is that something that's going to win? I will win the lottery. Okay, I'll try it. I will put a positive affirmation out there. I will win the lottery. I get that. But let's be realistic. That's less likely to happen. So you need to say, wow, I want this to happen to me. Then make it happen. You know what I have? A vision board. I know it sounds corny, but it's not. It's a magnetic whiteboard that I draw unicorns and smiley faces and happy things that make me feel great inside. And I put my goals and things that I gotta do. Bills gotta be paid. Bill date. Because it has to happen. The bill will come. The bill's gonna come. Life will keep going and assessing itself. So I got to make sure to complete these milestones that I want to happen. I got to keep this wheel a-churning. And that's what I need to do. Full circle. Full circle is the milestones in our life mean something to us. But we need to understand they mean so much to other people that we have no idea about. And they impact their happiness. So I always say one of my main foundations is only you can create your own happiness. Only you can manifest it. But you can certainly send positive vibes. Now, my mother is gone. You heard that? That's my baby. My mother is gone. So it's only me. But I know she's looking down on me from heaven because I know she's above, not below. And I know she's saying in her mind, girl, you better do it. And I know I look at her and I say, are you proud of me? And then she would say in her shy way, don't ask me stupid questions. All I can say to you is every milestone that happens in your life, celebrate it. Rejoice in it. Even if it's a small occasion, it's just a little sour fare that you put together, no problem. If it's you in your nightie with a candle and a cupcake, that's your business. You celebrate it because those are your milestones and they will mean so much to you now. But when you move forward and you look back, don't miss your prom. Don't think that I don't want to go to the prom. It's just I'm not cool enough. Go. I'm not going to go to the company picnic because I don't want to be. Go. Be a part. Take that ownership and enjoyment of your milestone. Of your life. Only you have the power to do that. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. A fantastic life. Let me know what your milestones are. Take care. If you're interested in entering the elf contest that we're doing with hashtag Bernanda, this is my elf, all you need to do is post a picture of your elf doing whatever they like to do anywhere around your home or wherever. And just make sure you tag that picture with hashtag Bernanda, this is my elf. Because what we're going to do is me and Bernanda, we're going to look through all these pictures and select a winner. Make sure that your photo is posted no later than December 31st, 2020. And the winner who actually is selected will win a prize and part of our global prize package. Thank you so much. Bye now.